It was the 3rd year of the reign of King Xerxes of Persia. He reigned from India to Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. So he reigned in all this area belonged to the king. From here over to India, and then back over to Africa. The king made a feast for all the princes of the land. This feast was very rich in food and drink and lasted 7 days. And on the 7th day, the king was very merry.
I am well pleased with my feast and my guests. Bring to me another cup of wine, and then go and fetch my queen. Tell Queen Vashti to come here in her finest dress and crowned with the gold and jewels I gave to her, so that all men might look upon her and see her beauty.
My queen, the great King Xerxes, has sent for your presence in the throne room, where all the princes of the land feast in his honor.
Go back to the king and tell him I shall not come. I am feasting in my own house with my own servants.
My queen is fairest in the land, crowned by stars from the skies.
My lord, the queen says she will not come.
What is this you say? She will not come? What will I do?
My king, if it became known that Queen Vashti would not come out at your summoning, all would doubt your ability to command respect. If it pleases the king, let the queen be sent away, and let another take her place.
So be it. I will never set eyes on her again, and I will take her crown, gold and jewels, and give them to another, more worthy of them. But who shall be my new queen?
My king, let us make it known all around by royal decree that the king is in search of a new queen. We will pick the fairest of maidens and send them to you, so you might choose a new queen.
Go forth and do this.
So the king sent forth his princes to find the most beautiful women in all of the land to be brought before him. At this time, there was a Jewish man from the tribe of Benjamin living near the king's palace in the citadel of Susa, and his name was Mordecai. His great-great-grandfather had been among those Jews taken captive and carried into exile from Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. Living with Mordecai was his niece Hadassah, who was also known as Esther. She had been raised by her uncle Mordecai after her parents died. She was exceptionally beautiful. Esther, we must obey the king's order and send you to his palace to be among the young women from whom he will choose his new queen.
But uncle, how can I go? For I'm a Jew. I am frightened. I will surely be discovered, and the king will have me killed.
Esther, you have no choice but to go. We can't ignore a royal decree. For your safety, you must keep your identity a secret, especially from King Xerxes. May the Lord go with you and protect you from harm.
And also with you, uncle. I shall miss you all.
And so, in accordance with the command of the king, Esther went with the others to stand before the king. The king was greatly pleased with Esther and her beauty, and so he ordered her to go to the house of his wives. The king gave to Esther the best house and many servants to wait upon her. Esther found much favor in the king's sight.
Surely you are the most beautiful woman in all the land. I will make you the queen, and I will give to you Vashti's crown and throw a feast in your honor. Ask of me anything you wish to have, and I will assuredly give it to you.
Good king, I have everything I could ask for at the moment.
So that he could watch over Esther at the palace, Mordecai became a palace official who sat as overseer at the king's gates. One night as he was on duty, he overheard two of the king's servants speaking.
The king is a great fool and not worthy to be king at all.
True that. I could make a better king myself. Did you hear he could not even summon his queen?
A man whose word is so weak ought not to be king.
What if the king were to die? Surely whoever became the new king would reward us, and we would be powerful.
That is a good plan. Let us kill the king tonight.
When Mordecai heard this, he went straight to the king's guard. Permission to approach the king's guard. There's important news for the king's protection.
Speak, Sir Mordecai. What is this urgent threat?
I just overheard the king's servants, Bigthana and Teresh, plotting to kill the king. You must stop them at once. The guard took the men and threw them in prison, and the deed which Mordecai had done for the king was written in the book of records. In the 7th year of King Xerxes, he appointed a man named Haman to be his chief counselor.
Your father, Hamadiah the Agagite, has served me well, but he is now old. If you will serve and advise me as well as he has, I will set you above all the princes of the land, so that all men will show reverence and bow before you.
I shall serve you faithfully, O king.
And Haman went out of the gates, and indeed all men bowed before him, all save Mordecai, who made Haman terribly angry.
Who is that man refusing to bow before me?
He is a Jewish man. Mordecai is his name. He says he only bows before his God.
Jewish, you say? I shall not stand for this insult.
Haman became resentful of Mordecai and his faith, and so he conspired to kill Mordecai and all the Jews throughout Persia. He went before the king that very night to settle the matter.
O great and worthy king, there is a certain group of people scattered and dispersed all around the lands of your kingdom. The Jews believe in a strange God and do not respect the laws which you have laid down. Take my advice and do not put up with them. Order them to be banished or destroyed.
Loyal Haman, you are very good to bring this important matter to my attention. Do with these Jews as you please. Here, take my signet ring to seal my decree.
Soon everybody heard the news that on the 13th day of the first month, all Jews are to be hunted and destroyed. Word of this went out to every prince of the land, to their lieutenants and governors, posted in every town square, and sealed by the king's ring. When Mordecai learned of this, he placed his clothing with sackcloth and ashes, and went out into the midst of town to cry out in protest. And likewise did all of the Jews.
My lady, your uncle Mordecai lies in the street in sackcloth and ashes, mourning we know not what.
Oh, my poor uncle. Go to him at once and take to him these clothes. Ask him what is wrong. What makes him weep?
Mordecai, my lady, Queen Esther commands you to weep no more and to put on these new clothes she sends you.
Alas, for my people, I will not do so.
What is wrong? Why do you weep?
I weep because Haman has sentenced all Jews to death under the order of the king's ring. Take this copy of the king's decree and give it to the queen. Tell her she must go before the king and plead for the Jews.
What wickedness! If only I could go before the king. For it is known that anyone who appears before the king in his inner court without being invited is doomed to die, unless the king holds out his golden scepter. And I have not been called these 30 days by the king.
Tell Esther, don't think for a moment that you're in the palace, you will escape when all the other Jews are killed. If you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief for the Jews will come from some other place, but you and your family will die. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for just such a time as this.
Tell Mordecai, go and gather together all the Jews of Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will do the same. And then, though it is against the law, I will go in to see the king. If I must die, I must die.
Tell the queen her God and her people are with her. I will make sure all Jews know to fast and pray for her safety for the next 3 days. After that, she should face the king. So it came to pass that on the third night, Esther put on her royal apparel and jewels, which the king had given her, and went and stood in his inner court, where the king sat upon his throne.
Queen Esther, how come you are here? Weren't you told is the death sentence to appear unsummoned?
I am aware of that law, O good king, but I could not wait to share the news of what I have prepared for you.
Come forward, and I will hold out my golden scepter so you may speak. Now, Esther, my queen, what is it you had to say? Any wish you ask for, I will grant.
My king, I come before you to extend an invitation for you and for your chief advisor, Haman. I invite you to partake in a banquet that I have prepared. It is there that I will sound my request.
Esther, my delight, rest assured we will both be there. Now that was a great meal. What were you going to ask for, Esther? Name it, and it will be yours, even if you ask for half the kingdom.
My king, my request tonight will only be this. If I have found favor in your sight, and if it pleases you, come again tomorrow night with your advisor Haman for another banquet I shall prepare. Then I shall tell you what I desire.
Haman went forth with a glad heart, but when he saw Mordecai, who would not bow before him, he became furious once more.
I am a man of much power, riches, and glory. I am promoted above all men, save only the king. Esther has let no man come to her banquet except for the king and me, and tomorrow I am to go again. But all this means nothing to me while that Jew Mordecai, sitting at the gate, still refuses to bow to me.
Let the gallows be made ready, my husband, and tomorrow hang Mordecai on them. That way he will bother you no longer.
That is exactly what I'll do.
The night after Esther's first banquet, the king could not sleep. He called in his guard to bring him the book of records.
Oh, right. Now I recall the plot that was made against my life recently, and that I was saved by Mordecai. What honor and dignity has been done to him for this service?
None has been done, my lord.
Bring to me Haman. Ah, Haman, tell me, what shall be done for a man the king wishes to honor?
Who could the king wish to honor but me? O king, dress the man in the king's clothing and put on his head the royal crown. Give him the royal mount, and have a noble prince lead him about the city, proclaiming, "This is how the king treats a man he wishes to honor."
Very good. Make haste and do all that you said for Mordecai the Jew, who sits at the gates, for he saved my life.
So Haman was forced to do all that he had said for the man he hated. He led him around the city, calling aloud,
"This is how the king treats a man he wishes to honor. This is how the king treats a man he wishes to honor."
Later that day, the king and Haman were summoned for Esther's second feast.
Again, Esther, I ask of you, what is your request? It shall be granted to you.
O king, if I have found favor in your sight, and if it pleases you, I would ask that my life and the life of my people be spared, for we have been sentenced to a horrible fate.
Who has caused you such sorrow? Who is the man that would harm your people like this?
It is Haman, O king. He has made a decree that all Jews shall be killed, and sealed it with your ring, so that no one can change your order.
What? Guard, take this man.
We have the gallows ready, prepared as per Haman's orders.
Good. Go ahead and use them to hang Haman.
No, you cannot do this to me.
And as for Mordecai, bring the man to me.
You sent for me, my king?
I name you now my right-hand man and counselor. You may wear my ring and pass my laws. I give you Haman's house and wealth. And as for this law Haman passed, I give you permission to make a decree that no Jew is to be harmed in my kingdom. And if anyone disobeys this order, the Jews have the full right to defend themselves.
All this was done as the king had said. Mordecai grew great among men, and the Jews put up a fight against all those who would seek to harm them. As for Haman, his wife and sons, they were hanged on the same gallows they had originally prepared for Mordecai. And it came to be that the 13th day of the 12th month of every year was marked as a day of celebration for the miracle that happened that day. This celebration, called Purim, is a time to remember how God saved Esther and her people. God blessed the courageous faith of Esther and her family. The end.